Hello everyone, welcome to our special noodle class broadcasting live from Yamato headquarters in Kagawa, Japan. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who don't know much about our company, we like to introduce ourselves a little bit. We are a 45-year-old manufacturer of noodle making machines in Japan. We've been doing, of course, exporting our noodle machines to all over the world. But other than that, we've been doing training courses like schools, on Japanese noodles, ramen, udon, and soba for almost 20 years. We actually have we are broadcasting from this headquarters in Kagawa, we have a school here in Kagawa. Then we'd like to show you later our kitchen and everything, and introduce our instructors. We also have a school in Tokyo, which has very similar facility in Tokyo, and we also have one in Singapore, and then we are in process of building schools in other locations. And today we're talking about pasta, which is not really our expertise. Our expertise is on Japanese noodles like ramen, udon, soba. But and then the previous class we did class on gyoza, which is not our specialty either. But so we are kind of seems moving away from our expertise. But we like to do pasta because we like to do it on a ramen machine. And we'd like to show you guys how various types of pasta can be made on a ramen machine from scratch. And then coming from Japanese noodle background, we like to show our take on pasta, which is we build the most popular noodles in the world. So let's switch to the slide, please. So today's agenda, we're talking about is different types of pasta that can be made on the ramen machine, and the differences between pasta machine, ramen machine. Also what it can do, what it can do, what it's good at doing. And then ingredients of pasta, that are usually used. And then we had to caution you guys at this point, because we're not talking about a kind of traditional Italian pasta, but we are talking about pasta that can be made throughout the world, in general. So the production process of the pasta on the ramen machine, and followed by we're gonna actually make pasta from scratch on the ramen machine. And we are going to, we like to make a few suggestions on pasta dishes. It's getting hot, and summer is coming. So we like to suggest few pasta dishes that are that we think going to popular, and then you may want to steal for your business, that we're gonna show later in the kitchen. And then followed by FAQ session. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so types of pasta that can be made on the ramen machine. So there are three major types of pasta that we can make on ramen machine. One of them is strand types. So this is the more type of the pasta that our ramen machine is probably best at making, because strand types are very similar to ramen noodles in terms of shapes. So it's very naturally we can make this type of pasta on ramen machine. And filled pasta, basically this is a sheet shaped pasta. So I think last class we showed you guys how the gyoza skins are made on the ramen machine. So it's probably it's no brainer. But baked pasta, which is lasagna, which is also sheet pasta, but kind of larger than the filled pasta. So let's start talking about each of these. So strand types, it's like, of course, like most popular type of like pasta is spaghetti, spaghettini, which is like a bit smaller than spaghetti in terms of size. Fettuccine, wider pasta, like flat. Tagliati, which is like kind of narrower than the fettuccine, but like, you know, it was like flat noodles. Pappardelle, that's like really wide and the flat noodles. Then linguine, it's very small in size. Vermicelli, and then like bellini. These are like really small in size, like in terms of like thickness and width. These are like usually used for like whole dishes. Okay. Then the filled pasta, tortellini. So this is the kind of pasta that you can see like on the picture on the right top corner. And of course, like most probably the popular one is like ravioli. So this is like a small sheet of pasta that you know like wrap your like filling, various types of filling in. Kind of, well, it's not exactly the same. Well, like, you know, kind of like similar to gyoza or like dumpling. Yeah, like in terms of like how they're made. So baked pasta like lasagna. So this is like sheet of pasta that like has like all the fillings like in between and, you know, baked. So this is the kind of pasta that we can make on the ramen machine. Okay, so I want to like talk about like the differences between like pasta machine and the ramen machine, and what a pasta machine is good at, what ramen machine is good at, you know, what it can do, what it cannot do. And I think like the biggest difference, right, between like pasta machine and ramen machine is that the size of the rollers. The size of the rollers, I mean by that is the size of the diameter of the rollers. So the machine that we're going to use to show like demonstrate how the different types of pastas are made later has the roller diameter of like 163 millimeter in diameter. The pasta machine, like we found, like has like typically has diameter of like 55 millimeter rollers. So like the pasta machine has like the roller is like 1/3 of the ramen machine. So why is it important, right? So how we make pasta like noodles is that like, you know, we need to like laminate or like sheet dough through like 2 rollers. So we feed the dough to the like the gap between like 2 rollers, and it's like by doing that we are applying some pressure, we're applying some force to the dough to be processed. So like in a way, like we are, you know, developing the gluten structure inside the dough sheet. But then when you like, especially when you are making noodles that are like low in hydration, like kind of drier noodles, the repulsion like from the dough that's being like pressed, right? It's like greater, like when you know, the hydration ratio is like lower. So when you are processing the dry dough, the pasta, when you are doing like in pasta machine, which has like smaller rollers, yeah, of course you can make them, but like it's applying like a smaller pressure, like in a lower force to the dough. So then at the same time, like it's getting like great repulsion like from the dough to the bearings of the rollers. So if you like make like this kind of pasta like over time, you know, the machine like breaks. The bearings like wear out like over time. So it's yeah, that's the difference. And then it's not like pasta machine is not really good at like making like pasta that's like low in hydration because it cannot apply you know, good amount of pressure into the dough. Okay. Then after we like make sheet of dough and then like to the point where the thickness is small enough to be cut. So we use this slitter cutter that you can see like on this picture. So it's like a kind of like paper shredder, but like the sheet of dough like goes through this cutter to be slitted out into like strands of pasta. And so thickness of pasta can be determined by the roller gap, like how like small that we set the roller gap to, and then by like width of the dough, the noodles are usually determined by this cutter slitter in terms of like ramen machine. But like other types of ramen machine, I mean pasta machine employs like a method like extrusion. So it just makes the dough like flour, water, and then make dough, and then like kind of forces the dough out through the die, which has like small holes, and then pushes the dough out to make the pasta. So there's a difference, in terms of like texture, maybe the flavor as well, and then kind of a hydration ratio, softness of the dough. That there's a limit to what it can do. Then I'll talk about this chart because this chart like we use for like distribution of like different types of like ramen noodles. But I think we think like we can apply that to a bit of like pasta too. So let me explain like horizontal line that's like hydration ratio of the noodles. So what's 25% like to 45% says like about from 25% means there's 25% like liquid contained in the noodles. So 25% to the weight of the flour. So 1,000 grams of like flour, so 250 grams of liquid contained in it. So like total weight of like 1.25 kilograms of like noodles. There's like 0.25 kilograms of liquid contained in it. So that's what the 25% hydration ratio means. The vertical line represents the protein content of flour that's used to make these noodles. So for example, like Hakata ramen noodle, like that's green circle. That's thin and hard noodles because it's low in hydration ratio, but like high in protein content, which makes the higher the protein content, the harder the noodle texture, lower the moisture content, like hydration ratio, noodle texture. So that's hard noodle. And then for the size, on the right-hand side corner, there's a size of the noodle. It's like 1.1 millimeter and 1.3 millimeter. That's thin noodle. So like that's thin and hard noodles. And then like there's a opposite corner, like a golden circle, like this is like dipping noodles. That's soft and thick noodles because that's high in the hydration ratio, but like low in protein content. The softer the protein, the lower the protein content, the softer the noodle texture. Higher the hydration ratio, the softer the noodle texture. But for the size, it's thick, like 1.7 millimeter, like 2.5 millimeter. So it's either like thin and hard, or like thick and soft noodles, or like somewhere in between. But like we think that like for pasta dough, pasta noodles, like pasta, right? We think that it's like it should be like something like in a big circle, yellow circle. So like there are many variations of pasta, like even like within the same category, same type. But like we think that it's like all kinds of pasta, any kind of pasta like should fall somewhere in between, like within this circle. But there are like of course like exceptions because like it's like fettuccine, like flat noodles. So like the size, the width is bigger, but the hydration ratio, like a protein that is used, is lower or something like that. So like, there may be like some exceptions, but like generally we think that any kind of pasta should fall within this yellow circle. So hydration ratio are represented by like how much eggs you use, like water you use, oil you use, and then thickness and the width, like the size of the noodles. So you may be able to like describe like different types of like pasta within this chart. And then So talking about differences between like ramen machine and a pasta machine. So we think that within this chart, right? I think like noodles, like ramen noodles, are good at making, or I think have like kind of wider range of like types, like the ramen machines are good at making than noodles that are like pasta machines are good at making. So yeah, so like I think the pasta machines are designed to do like all kind of like pasta noodles, like filled pasta. Like some of the pasta machine has like functionality, like wrapping functionality to do like wrapping on the filled pasta too. So there are like differences, but like generally like pasta machine has like I think like like lower kind of the force like that you can apply to like when it's making like sheeting the pasta dough than the ramen machine. So that's like how like the pasta machine is designed, and so there's like what the pasta machine is good at doing, and then ramen machine is good at doing. Okay, let's start talking about ingredients for pasta. This is very important. We consider like so we separate ingredients into like two components, usually like solid ingredients and liquid ingredients. This is very important because that's how we think about like how we consider like hydration ratio, which affects the like softness, hardness of the noodle texture, pasta texture. So solid ingredients, so wheat flour, the protein content of like like I think it varies from like 11 to like 13%. Like that's like a bit higher end. And of course, like the most probably famous wheat flour that's used for pasta is like semolina flour, like 00 flour that's from Italy, and then various types of flour like maybe starch like some use like maybe buckwheat or something. Then liquid ingredients, like of course water. Talking about water, we need to adjust the amount, like because for the consistency, the quality of the pasta, like a kind of condition of pasta, the hydration ratio again, like kind of affects the quality of the pasta like greatly, maybe the hardness of the pasta greatly. So I mean, depending on like what the temperature of the room, like where you make the pasta is. So like in Japan, like in the summer, right? I mean, it's getting like hot and like it maybe like may reach like 30 degrees Celsius or something like in a few days. So when it's hot, like well, the flour, the solid ingredients like absorb more water. So like we need to like lower the amount of water, or like maybe like chill the water, lower the temperature of the water to when you add the water to the flour and mixing process. But in the winter, like it goes down like below like 10 degrees Celsius or something. So like there's a 20 degrees difference the temperature. So to compensate for that, we need to like maybe like increase the amount of water, then like or maybe like increase the temperature of the water to compensate for that difference, to have like kind of consistency in the quality. Okay, and then for eggs, it's like really famous that like we like eggs are used like for pasta, for the yolk like white whole. Then like fresh eggs, like we can definitely use fresh eggs, but like it gets kind of tricky like when it comes like a calculation like recipe of the pasta. So we need to like when using like eggs, like we need to weigh eggs, right? And then we need to consider like 25% of it as solid ingredients, and then 75% of it as liquid ingredients. That gets tricky. The salt, so we use salt, and then it helps develop a gluten structure, which helps like kind of dough kind of stretch better. Then oil, we use oil, but like typically like olive oil is used to add like growth, the smoothness on the dough. And let's talk about kind of more deeply about like flour. So of course, like semolina flour, that's one type of drum wheat species, and there's other type like double zero flour, which is like this like meal like finer than like semolina flour. They like maybe like has like lower protein content, like kind of similar to like all-purpose flour. Some use like red flour, etc. But like semolina flour, talking about semolina flour, it's basically like coarser, darker than like all-purpose flour. Coarser means like have like bigger particles. Like when the milling process, the wheat grains like milled into the flour, but like it's coarse, so like kind of bigger in particle. And then it also means that the value like ash content is higher, which makes the color the pasta like darker, and then but it increase the like flavor of the wheat. So in semolina flour, that like ash content is like higher, like 4%, like sorry, 0.4%, like 0.5%. Then there's another value that we should be concerned about, like when trying to find a good flour for pasta, is that like this viscosity value. So that measures how elastic the noodle pasta becomes. So it's like kind of stretchiness, like how flexible, like kind of stretching the noodle becomes. In terms of the semolina flour, this the amount, this value is like tends to be lower. Yes, and then for that, the flour, other ingredients that are used for pasta, the eggs we talk about, like egg white yolk, whole eggs. So people add like yolk, whole eggs, just for the purpose of like kind of adding addition of like kind of eggy flavors, like taste to the dough, more like more on that kind of effect. But like egg white, we are adding when we're adding egg white, we're trying to like bring in like this texture, the bounciness or like hardness that you get from like egg white. Like when you hard boil the egg and then just bite into the white part of the egg, you get this kind of bouncy texture, like kind of. So that's the kind of texture you're trying to bring in by using egg white. Coloring agent, coloring like dye, flavoring, so like spinach we use, like squid ink, like beads, like other types, to color, like flavor the dough. And the grain flour, like we'll use full, like rye, like corn, buckwheat maybe, and oil and other types of like oil, like lard, and to have like add like more flavor, like more like smoothness to the dough. Depending on the sauce that you use, like to or like kind of filling that you are working with. Okay, so let's start talking about like production process. So this slide describes the how we build the dough for the pasta. Of course, like this process is like based on like ramen machine. And then most important step in this process is weighing of ingredients, the right ratios. So we go by weight, not by volume, because for the precision or like consistency, quality consistency. We weigh everything by like grams, and then like at the right ratio. So if you screw up like weighing of the ingredients, the rest of the process like wouldn't matter. So you need to weigh each ingredients like precisely at the right ratios. Then the mixing, in the mixing process. So what we're trying to like, in this process, like we're trying to like have like good hydration dough. So like we, like flour, like solid ingredients and liquid ingredients, we're trying to like distribute like liquid ingredients kind of equal to like throughout the particles of like the flour. to have like good hydration in the dough. But it's very hard to achieve that condition like by just mixing it. So we do like resting process. So we just put the dough into the plastic bag and let it sit at room temperature for like 30 minutes and for an hour or so. And then after that, we're gonna process it through roll-ons. So we make like a rough sheet of dough, and then for the rest of the process, like I'll explain like as we actually make pasta in a ramen machine. Okay, and so after like doing it, and then like we do just thin to the like final thickness, and then we cut it and portion it, and then after that we may do like a resting or like in terms of pasta, like maybe like drying process. But like after that, like we cook them. So that's the lecture part. Right, so let's move over here. So let me explain the ingredients. This is not yellow wheat flour, but like it has like whole egg powder, like whole eggs in powder form, so that it's like underneath like there's like flour, like wheat flour. Okay. Then this is water and salt and oil. So these 5 ingredients: whole eggs, wheat flour, water, salt, oil. These are going to the pasta that we can make. So here we have like our ramen machine, ramen noodle making machine. It's called like Richmond One. Richmond One is an all-in-one machine that you can make up to like, depending on your serving size, like you can make up to like 100 servings of like fresh pasta from scratch in an hour. And so what we are doing now is so we are putting the solid ingredients into the mixer. And then we like to mix it for just 1 minute, just with the solid ingredients, because you want to make sure that, especially like in this recipe, like we have whole egg powder, and powder is in powder form. That tends to have like be like moist, like has like some like moisture in it. So we want to like kind of break them and like kind of mingle well like with the flour. Okay, and then we want to dissolve the salt to the water, or dissolve the salt in the water, right? Yeah, make sure that salt is like all dissolved into the water like thoroughly before we add it to the flour in the mixing. And we talked about, so like salt and oil, water, so we consider them as liquid ingredients, right? Then we can add like oil like directly into the flour. That's okay. And then we like to add water, salted water in there, like onto the mixing lid, which has these like small holes, so that like this liquid is like kind of dripping through to the holes to be added to the flour like little by little, so that we don't want to add like all the water at once, to ensure that good hydration of the dough. Okay. So yeah, we can just keep watching this how like the mixing, like how like flour is like kind of getting mixed up like in for like 4 hours, but like we don't have that much time. So let's start doing the next process. So we prepare this dough, and then hydration ratio of this dough. This is exactly the same ingredients that we did like just now, but like hydration ratio of this dough is like 34%. So we consider like salt and oil to be like liquid ingredients. So the 34% includes the amount of salt, the amount of oil, and then the amount of water. So for the first step, this process, so what we are trying to do is that we are making rough sheet of dough by feeding these crumbles of like dough into the rollers. And then, so we wind this like dough sheet like onto the rolling pin, so that rolling pin like kind of winds it automatically. So you see this size of chunks of this dough. So it's like this is like 34%, and then as you could see, so we rested it. We rested this dough by putting it into the plastic bag and like let it sit at room temperature for about an hour. Yeah, the liquid has been like sort of like distributed like throughout like each of the flour particles, and then so it's very well, the hydration is like very well balanced at this point. And then like so we are feeding it to the rollers, which is actually set to the first initial the roller setting for this dough is like 1.5 millimeter. So this kind of like dough hydration ratio we consider as the medium hydration ratio dough. So usually we start from like 1.5 millimeter. Because the chunks of the size of dough is it's kind of like medium size, like that's like kind of big enough, like small enough to go into the 1.5 millimeter of like roller gap. So the initial roller gap was like 1.5 millimeter, and as you can kind of see, the dough that came out is still like some kind of fragile, like kind of like maybe you can just kind of easily like tear it up like by your hand. So it's not yet I think like good in like terms like texture. So what we're gonna do is like we want to like separate it into like 2 separate sheets of dough, and then combine them through the rollers. So we want to like separate like into like about half, and then feed them to the rollers at the same time, right? And when we're doing it, like so we want to like we don't want to apply the too strong a pressure like at the time. So like we want to apply this rule of like 70% rule. So the initially like the dough like went through like 1.5 millimeter, So each of the dough is separated dough like 1.5 millimeter in thickness. So we separate them and then like combine them, right? So there are two separate sheets like going in, each of which is like 1.5 millimeter in thickness. So they're supposed to be like equivalent of like 3.0 millimeter of like dough is going in to the roller. So you want to like apply this 70% rule, 0.7 times like 3.0 millimeter, 2.1 millimeter. But like we want to round it down to like 2 millimeter. So that's the roller gap we set now. So the dough that's coming out right now is supposed to be 2.0 millimeter in thickness now. And as you can almost see, the surface of the dough is like a lot smoother than before. That's the sign that the gluten structure inside the dough is getting stronger, and then so that dough itself is like getting like better types of texture. And at this point, we want to go slow. Want to go slower to make sure that we're applying big enough pressure to the dough. And usually we want to like go through this process like we call like combining process 1 to 2 times. And for this batch, like we want to do one more time to make sure that the gluten in dough is like developed well enough, strong enough. So that was like 2 millimeter. Remember the 70% rule. So 2 millimeter, so each dough is like 2 millimeter. So 2 plus 2, 4, and 4 times like 70%, 0.7, that's 2.8. But for the sake of simplicity, we want to round it up to 3.0. So we set the roller gap to 3.0 millimeter. And from this point on, we want to dust this dough because we don't want it to stick together. Up to combining process, we want them to stick together, but like from this point on, we don't want them to stick together. So like we are dusting it, and you can control the amount of dusting. So if you're making like wetter pasta, like the pasta that has like higher hydration ratio, we want to dust it more. So you can control the like dusting volume. The touch of button. Okay, and so after combining, we can go faster. So you can control like rolling speed to go faster because like after second combining process, the dough itself like kind of in terms of texture is like complete. So we can go faster the thinning process. And again, like remember the 70% rule. So that was 3 millimeter roller gap like in went through. So we want to apply 70% rule 3 times, 0.7, 2.8. I mean, sorry, 2.1. So 2 point, round it down to 2.0. So like that's the roller gap we set it at. So at this point, like all you have to do is just thin the dough to the final thickness. So depending on what kind of pasta you're making, you determine the final thickness for the kind of pasta you're making or cutting. And in a minute, I want to show you guys different types of like slither cutters we have, different sizes, different shapes. So that was like 2mm roller gap like this, though it like went through, and like when we measure the like actual thickness, that's 2.6-ish. So like there's a difference of like discrepancy of 0.65mm from the roller gap like 2.0mm. So the actual thickness of dough is always bigger than the roller gap we set it at, because the dough bounces back all the time. So you need to measure the actual thickness to be able to or get the final thickness of your pasta right. Okay, so after the dough is like going through like roller gap like 1.5mm, that's now. I think we can start cutting it out to different sizes, like different shapes. And so this time around, like I'd like to show you guys like a few different sizes, like shapes of pasta using the same dough. So after it's gone through 1.5mm like roller gap, the actual thickness turns out to be 1.98-ish. So like there's like discrepancy of like 0.4mm between actual thickness and roller gap. Then the final thickness for certain type of pasta that we're gonna cut is yeah, so it's like we need to calculate the difference, and then like that was like 1.9-ish. So we are aiming it at like to 1.7mm for the final thickness. So we set that right now. Set the roller gap to 1.2mm to get the final thickness of about 1.7. And we're setting the conveyor belt and putting the slither cutter. And this is the number 16, like round cutter, round shape cutter. So number 16 means that's about 2.0mm in width, but like it's like in round shape. Okay, let's start cutting. And you can change the like length of the noodle that changes the serving size of a pasta. Okay, let's save the dough for other cutters. So you can easily like change the like length of noodle, like length of pasta for different serving sizes. Okay, let's do another size or shape. This is like a special cutter we have that's like really wide. It's actually each pasta sheet would be 7 centimeters wide. Okay, let's see like how it comes out. Yeah, so you get like this type of like sheet shaped pasta. So you can use this as like ravioli, like or tortellini, like or even like lasagna. Let's do another cutter. That's like this is like really small in size, like number 22 is also like a round cutter, and because it's round cutter, unlike the square shaped cutter, the size of the pasta like kind of feel like smaller than 1.4 millimeter. Okay, let's try that. And we think that this type of size, this size, like thickness, like width, the noodle pasta would be like really good for kind of cold dish. So like maybe like capellini, like other types of like pasta. Okay, we'll do one more size. So for this pasta, for this size, like we'll actually show it to you guys later in the kitchen on the dish like we're suggesting. Okay, we'll just do like one more size, and then that's like we call like a number 10 cutter. That's 3 millimeter in width. So it's going to be like wide noodle, like flat noodles. I think it's going to be like a bit too narrow, like to be called like fettuccine, but like it's a flat noodle that's good size pasta. Just a little bit of dough left, so it's not gonna be like a lot of this type of pasta, but you get the idea. Okay, so that was so we made 4 different types of like 4 different shapes, like sizes of pasta, like out of same dough, and it's very interesting how like different sizes, like different shapes, change the texture, like even like flavor, like taste, like dramatically, like when they're cooked into the pasta and then like put on a dish, like plate, and then like combined with like different types of sauces. It's amazing. So let me show you some of the pasta that we made. That's yesterday. Um, so it's different sizes, but like this is a round shaped cutter, like number 18, number 22. Yeah, so this is a square, number 20, like 1.5 millimeter. There's flat noodle, like number 6 square, that's 5 millimeter. That's number 3 square, like that's like 10 millimeter width. Flat noodles, and then like there are various types of like sheet pasta that we could use for filled pasta, baked pasta, in different types. This is like number 1 square cutter, like so that's like 30 millimeter width. Maybe like these are used as like pappardelle or some other types of pasta. Number 6 again, and then number 10. So we did like with like 3 different types of dough, different recipes. Well, like it's very easy to make different types of pasta like these in the ramen machine. Okay, so let us take a let us like get prepared to move to our kitchen where our instructors are waiting, standing by. Okay, so it's our kitchen. This is where we conduct our like cooking part of the ramen school, like udon school, and it's basically like designed for up to like 8 people, 8 students, and then we have today we have like 3 instructors standing by, and so we have like different equipment, especially like these induction cookers we have are like used for like cooking the broth. So we have like 10 big induction cookers, each of which is going to cook like different ingredients. For example, pork backbone, like whole chicken, chicken bones, like, and then we have like light version of it, like heavy version of it. So each pot is going to like cook like unique, like different ingredients individually. So the students can taste like how the like each ingredient like tastes, and then later like they can combine them together. So they can learn the basics, like how to cook like each ingredients like in the broth like properly, and then how to make tare, which is like the sauce that like determines the taste of the broth. Like we're gonna show you like shio, miso from scratch. Like we make like 50 of them like from scratch, like in each class, and like flavor oil. That's another component for a ramen soup, and then that's we make like 30 of them, 40 of them like from scratch, and we show them how to make them. But like basically like we help like each student's like he who has like his own idea of like what kind of ramen they want to make. So we want to help them reach their final like recipes through this course. And yes, so we reopened it like last month, and so yeah, as soon as like travel ban is like lifted, like you guys can visit us and like for and join us for the school. But like until then, like we hope you guys will be able to like kind of or stay in touch and like keep asking us questions. Okay, let me introduce our instructors for standing by today. So Mr. Ikeda, the chief instructor of this school, like he has like deep knowledge in the background of like Chinese cuisine, which is like was like similar to like ramen. And he teaches udon school, like ramen school here in Kagawa quarter. So for those like who want to like ask him questions, please feel free to do so. Then Mr. Sun, he recently joined us. He is fluent in Chinese, and then he recently joined us, but like he has a pretty good potential. Like he's been well trained. So for those of you like who are who want to communicate in Chinese, like you can feel free to ask him questions. Mr. Takeuchi, like he's from Vancouver, Canada. He's a native speaker of English, and he's been like well trained, like in like having like Japanese cuisine background. So very good like knife skills. So he is like call him Thomas, and then he's going to show us how to put together like then want to suggest like few examples of like pasta dishes today.
Okay, thank you, Akira. Once again, this is Thomas. I'm one of the instructors at the Yamato Noodle School, and I teach udon school, ramen school, and soba school. So I'm not a professional in pasta, but today we'll show you some of our take on pasta. So we're gonna show you some of the Japanese style pasta that's popular in Japan. First one is gonna be mentaiko cream pasta. So it uses mentaiko, which is cod roll, cured with salt and chili, and it's packed with umami, so it's great with creams and pasta. So the second one is olive oil pasta, but it's seasoned with soy sauce, so it gives that Japanese taste to it. And the third one is cold pasta. I'm gonna put in some prawns and tuna sashimi in it as well. Okay, so first I want to explain the three types of pasta we're gonna use today. So we have three different types of pasta right here. We have the flat pasta, and the middle we have the spaghetti. And on the right, we have the thinner pasta. We're going to use this for cold pasta. So I want to first start off with making mentaiko cream pasta. So I'm going to use the spaghetti. And we're going to boil these for 3 minutes. And I have the pot boiling. And make sure to have salt in here. I like to put in 1%. So I have 5 liters of water, so I have 50 grams of salt in here. And we're going to cook this for 3 minutes. Okay. So a great thing about fresh pasta is that boiling time is a lot shorter. Dry pasta is probably going to take like 11 or 12 minutes. This one's going to take 3 minutes to boil. So we're going to let this boil, and let's move on to making the sauce part. So for people that don't know what mentaiko is, this is mentaiko, and it's cod roll. It's cured with salt and pepper, chili pepper, sorry. So it's salty and spicy, but it's packed with umami. And people like to pair this with rice, but it goes well with pasta as well. So, but to use these, first thing you have to do is take off the membrane. There's a membrane around the eggs, so when I use the back part of the knife to just take out the inside, and you'll have these membrane that's unpleasant to eat, so you want to remove this. Okay. So that's around 30 grams of mentaiko. And cream, I have 70 grams of cream. And salt. And to make the sauce rich, I'm going to put some butter in it. And don't worry, the butter is solid right now, but once the hot pasta goes in, it's going to melt. And some black pepper. So just like this. And once the pasta is boiled, we're going to put it in here and mix it well and plate it onto the plate. Okay. Make sure to have the pasta moving around in that boiling water freely so that the pasta is going to be boiled consistently. 10 more seconds. For this pasta, make sure to strain out all the water. And into this mentaiko cream sauce. And mix it well. You want to mix it well so that the starch from the pasta goes into the sauce and it thickens the sauce. So the butter is completely melted and it's nicely mixed. So now I want to plate this onto this dish, and I'm going to plate it nicely using a tongue and a ladle. And put the remaining sauce on the pasta. And for the toppings, we have seaweed and some finely chopped up shiso leaves. And shiso leaves is like kind of like basil or parsley. It's often used for Japanese cuisine, and it has a unique taste, and it's hard to explain the taste. So unless you try it, and it just has a slight minty taste to it, and it just goes well with Japanese cuisine. So first, I'm going to garnish the top with some seaweed and some shiso leaves on the top. So this is, I'm sure this is one of the staple Japanese pasta, mentaiko cream pasta. It's great. First of all, the taste. Mainly, the taste comes from mentaiko. Mentaiko is packed with umami, and it's salty, and it has a little kick to it. But the cream kind of like covers that saltiness and spiciness, and it makes it mild so everyone can enjoy it. And the butter makes the sauce really rich. And the pasta itself, it's chewy, yet it still has a bite to it. And pasta itself, it's like very rich, but the shiso leaves, it kind of like the minty taste of the shiso leaves, it gives like a nice refreshing taste, so you can enjoy the pasta until the end. So this is how to make mentaiko cream pasta. Next, I want to move on to the olive oil pasta seasoned with soy sauce. So of course, we're going to be using the flat noodles, and we're going to be cooking this for 4 minutes. But I want to cook these for 3 minutes in the pot, and we're going to cook the remaining 1 minute in the pan. So we're going to put in the pasta and set the timer for 3 minutes. And I'm going to heat up the pan and put some olive oil. The next, bacon. This gives a nice umami to the pasta. And we're going to cook this bacon until it's like slightly brown. So the bacon's slightly colored, so now I'm gonna put in the garlic. Sliced garlic. And we're gonna cook the garlic not until like it's brown. I just wanna cook the garlic so it's not raw. Okay. Next, shimeji mushroom. This gives a nice flavor to the pasta and also a nice texture. And lastly, spinach. And I want to season it with salt and pepper and some soy sauce. And I'm just gonna move this to the side. ちょっとレードルもらっていいですか？なんでもないです。あります、あります。ちょっとSo the pasta is boiled. For this one, don't worry about straining out the water too much. We want that boiling water into the pan as well. Okay. So like this, we're going to take some of the boiling water and the reason is because the boiling water has some starch from the pasta, and the starch kind of helps emulsify the sauce. So just like this, now the pasta is ready to be plated. So And once again, for this one, I'm gonna garnish the top with some seaweed and some shiso leaves. I got some sauce on the side, so I'm just gonna wipe that off. So this is olive oil pasta seasoned with soy sauce. So first of all, for this one, the umami comes from bacon, and the sauce is rich because of the fat from bacon, and the slightly burnt soy sauce flavor. It just gives a nice, amazing flavor to the pasta. Once again, this is rich, but the shiso leaves are they're gonna make the pasta nice and refreshing. So you're gonna be able to enjoy the pasta until the end. So this is olive oil pasta flavored with soy sauce. So the last one, we're gonna make some cold pasta. So over here. So first I'm gonna make the sauce. This is soy sauce, 20 grams. Vinegar. And this can be like citrus, can come from citrus as well. You can use lemon or lime as well. Olive oil. And sugar. And some finely chopped up onion. And mix this up, and the sauce is ready. Next, I'm going to boil the pasta. We're going to use a thin pasta. We're going to cook this for a minute, and then we're going to wash and chill the pasta. So 1 minute. Actually, spoon one of these guys. Spoon. And for the toppings, we're gonna use, it can be anything as well. We're gonna use tuna sashimi, avocados, tomatoes, and some boiled prawns. So the pasta's almost ready. Okay. Then I'm gonna go to the sink. Going to wash and chill the noodles. Sorry, pasta. So I want to make the pasta nice and silky, so I want to remove all the starch from the outside. Sorry, one thing that I forgot to put into the sauce, shiso leaves in here as well. And then I'm going to put in the pasta into the sauce and mix it up. So make sure the shiso leaves are evenly around the pasta. And once again, I'm going to use the tong and ladle to nicely plate it into the bowl. Okay. And for the toppings, I'm just going to like lightly mix it up and just on the side. And we have the leftover sauce, so I'm just going to pour this over the toppings. And for this, we're going to garnish the top with some seaweed and some shiso leaves again. So this is how to make cold pasta Japanese style. This is great for summer. There's some vinegar in the sauce to make it nice and refreshing. And shiso leaves, once again, it has a nice minty taste to it, nice and refreshing as well. But it's still filling because of the toppings on the side. You get protein from prawns, tuna sashimi, and the avocado gives a nice buttery taste to that pasta. So it's nice and filling as well. So even during the summer when you're not that hungry, you can probably still have this. So these are the three Japanese pasta that I can recommend. These are very popular. If you go to like a Western style restaurant in Japan, they probably have one of these pasta. So yeah, if you can find the ingredients, maybe give it a try. Oh, there's a question. What's the red thing? That's mentaiko. That's a cod roll. It's often paired up with rice in Japan. It's packed with umami and it's just like cured with salt and chili, so it's a little bit salty and spicy at the same time. Oh, we have a question where it says, does it work with 25 or 30% moisture dough, like Hakata noodles? Yes. The lowest I've tried was 25%, and it works completely. It works perfect for Hakata noodles.
So that was just our take, like first take on the pasta, like which is like of course like most popular noodles in the world. But we're coming from a Japanese background, Japanese noodle background. So this is just our first take. So we may do another class that's on pasta, or like we'll do like whole classes on like certain topic like as like specific as like we have soba or like tsukemen or other things, other noodle types. And for those of you like who are interested in like like learning about like other things that we could teach, please send us the request through email like or any Instagram like or we do Facebook. Um, and then for those of you like who like the class, please hit the like button, make sure. And then for those of you like who are interested in like learning about other things or like knowing more about like our company, like what we do, please subscribe to our like YouTube channel, Yamato Noodle. And so we're going to be doing like more and more of this kind of class, and then like we hope to see you guys soon in the next class. And for today, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for joining us for this class. Thank you. We'll see you in the next class. Thank you. Bye bye.